Alright, welcome to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. So, check this out. There's an agenda going on, right? Certain people have an agenda for people to not come back to Jamaica. And I mean regular Jamaicans. Sorry, I have the hiccups. I just saw on Facebook, this one person posted this story. And then, of course, they got it from the Observer. And it says it right there. So I clicked on the Observer link to go to the original story as it was printed in the Observer. Now, if you are telling Jamaicans to not come back to Jamaica, to stay a foreign, as you put it, let me ask y'all this. Where are we supposed to go? Are you saying that we're supposed to evacuate or flee the island and never return? Where we were born and raised and still have family living? That is absurd. That is absurd. Instead of you putting pressure on the people in a position of authority to clean up certain things so that people can feel more secured upon returning, and also giving people hope by telling them ways to stay safe when they do return, like, don't take this for granted, do this, don't do this, things have changed. Instead of you doing that, you're telling people just don't return. Who you think is going to take over the island of Jamaica if we don't return? That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Now, I know you know me and the wife just came back from Jamaica not too long ago, and we had a wonderful time in Jamaica. And that's not to say that there isn't crime and violence there, but certain things could be handled a certain way, and certain things seem a certain way when conveyed through news media, as opposed to knowing the full details of what happened and how it happened, right? I'm going to read the story to you, and then I'm going to say my piece at the end. Stick around, because we are not a part and do not want to be affiliated with that whole don't come back to Jamaica movement. We go back to Jamaica just to show you come back. We tell you all the time, make sure you invest there, because the foreign land that you're living in, them can fling you out at any given time. Some people say, no, that can't happen to me. And then years later, one incident leads to another and you find yourself right there. Alright? The only place they cannot fling you out of is where you were born. Some people tend to forget that. Alright. So, the headline for this story says, they have cleaned me out. Jamaicans who returned home after living overseas for 40 years laments on being robbed twice in 1 week. It's how this whole situation went down. Listen to the details in this. Scary situation to have lived through, I might admit. But I will also tell you ways to make sure that this never happens to you. Okay? People, the same things than what we do. Anyways, let me read this first. So, it was her deceased parents' wish for her to return to Jamaica. But after being robbed twice at her home in Hellshire, St. Catherine, in less than a week, she's having second thoughts about even being there. Some people are right now saying, you better hurry up and run, go back a foreign before them take your life next. The woman and her husband, who returned to Jamaica 3 years ago after living in the United States for over 40 years, were visiting relatives in Florida when a neighbor who went to water their plants informed them that there had been a break-in in the house. The couple, who had planned to travel from Florida to New York, canceled that trip and returned to Jamaica immediately. On Wednesday, she reported the matter to the Hellshire police station. But things only got worse. Now let me stop and say this. There is solid proof that there have even been law enforcement officials that were a head, leader, ringleader of a group that targeted returning residents. So you had a police officer that was orchestrating break-ins and robberies, targeting returning residents. That's something that is very scary. Because when things happen, you say to someone, well, go tell the police. But then people look at you and say, tell which police? And police are part of it. Now, if those who are supposed to be protecting you are with the criminals who are violating you, you really have no way out, right? And that's the touchy part about Jamaica right there that bothers me. Corruption runs too deep. However, watch this. The senior citizens told the Jamaica Observer yesterday that when she was summoned to her door by men dressed in police uniform Wednesday night, she thought that they had come to take additional statements. She said, it was a little after 8. I heard my name called 3 times. And I called my husband and I said, there's someone calling. My husband opened the door and there were these 3 men. Red flag. First of all, you're calling my name and I don't know you. That tells me that someone that knows me knows you and sent you here because I'm a soft target. Second, I'm not opening my door. I don't know you. You're going to have to present some kind of paperwork. Push it through the grill, through the glass, through the window, something. But I'm not opening no door. Furthermore, I'm calling the police station to check. And if it's only a statement that you're there to take, it's not that important right now. It's too late in the evening. Come back at daylight. Big broad daylight. And in the meantime, I will run a check. Did y'all send a unit or some people over here yesterday? Blah, blah, blah. You have to take precautions. You have to take precautions. We do it in the States. Why are we in Jamaica not doing it? And then blaming everything on just Jamaica. Thieves are everywhere. Criminals are everywhere. They try that stuff here in the US all the time. They knock the door, and if you slip up and open your door, they force their way in. So it is known that not only does our doors have peepholes on them so we can see who's there, we ask people to identify themselves. You even can tell the police, you're not coming in here unless you present a search warrant if you want to search. So why would you think that Jamaica is any different? The precautions stand. We must start telling these people to remember these things. People have this thing in their mind about Jamaica. Everything is carefree, and that's why I said Jamaica is a dangerous place, because honestly, it makes you feel like kicking your shoes off. It makes you feel like putting your feet up. It makes you feel like letting your toes play with the sand and the wind blow through your hair. But you have to stay on point, just like you do everywhere else. I wouldn't open my door here for a stranger, and I sure as hell wouldn't open my door in Jamaica for a stranger. And I don't care if you're dressed in a police uniform or you identify yourself as a police. I'm calling the station to find out if they sent you over here. And you're going to show me some proper identification. Moving right along. So she said it was a little after 8. She heard her name called 3 times. And she called her husband and said, hey, someone's calling. The husband just jumped up and opened the door. And there were 3 men there. 2 of them were very tall, dressed like police officers in full blue. In full blue? Somebody correct me in the comment section. I've seen police officers in Jamaica dressed in full blue, but I was thinking that those police officers had something to do with something else. I didn't say where they're from, and I had already spoken to... They did not say where they were from. Your husband already had the door open, and they didn't even say where they were from. And I had already spoken to a detective yesterday about the break-in. ignored me. And I insisted on asking, where are you from? They said, Portmore. See, I have to stop again. I'm going to ask you where you're from behind my door, with my phone in my hand, while dialing the station number 119 or something. Yes, and I'm telling you, I have the police on the phone, and I'm calling them, I'm speaking to them right now to find out which station you came from. So can you tell me again who sent you and where you're from? You have to take precautions, man. You have to start being proactive instead of reactive. They said, Portmore. I said to them, this is Hellshire. And Hellshire cops came already. The crime unit came Monday, and I spoke to the detective yesterday. In fact, he left here at 5 o'clock. So I don't understand why you're back here. At that point, I got uncomfortable, she said, and I backed in. As soon as I backed into the door, the three men rushed my husband. Yeah, because you already have the door open and they have an agenda. He was right before me, and they pushed him up to me, then pushed us into the bedroom. She said the men ordered them to lie face down and not to look. I heard footsteps running back through the house. They had big guns, and they put a cushion over my husband's head and put the gun at the back of his head. I started praying loud. They told me, shut up, she said. Insisting that she felt as if she was being targeted, the woman said she was terrified. According to the woman, $17 million worth of jewelry, along with receipts for some of the jewelry, $5,500 in US dollars, bank statements, among other things, were stolen between Sunday and Wednesday night, between the two robberies. The $7 million estimate of jewelry was taken Sunday night. They emptied the drawer, everything, watches, rings, jewelry sets. Then they came back for the other bag that I had secured, she told the Observer. They have cleaned me out. Only God knows what's next. They took even toiletries. They took even my wigs. They took even my makeup. They even took the alcohol that we had in here, like my Wincarnis rum, wine, champagne, everything. The St. Catherine police is currently investigating. All right. So, like I was saying, hear me out. I go to Jamaica, and I remember someone saying to me, it was my cousin, he said, Jamaica, nice man. This was on one of my visits. And my cousin said, yeah man, it's nice if you can leave. You come, you stay a short time and you fly out, it's nice. But for those of us that have to stay here, some of the things down here is not so nice. Right? Now, I'm saying to the people that are going back to Jamaica and are being so naive, first of all, I'm encouraging my audience to not get on that I shall never return BS. I'm not supporting it at all. Okay? At all. I want you to return. I want you to make sure that you return. I don't care if you go back as a tourist. I don't care if you go back for 1 day, 2 days. But return. What is happening here is people are wiping Jamaica completely off their list, as if the worst place in the world, and they're absolutely afraid. Now I understand there are things that are going on there, and corruption runs deep, and certain things that would be handled differently in other places, and I cannot fault people for trying to preserve their life. After all, you only get one. But what I'm saying is, you cannot just be carefree and willy-nilly just because you're in Jamaica. You still have to practice your precautions. You don't just open the door because somebody knocked and called your name. Now to the break-in, that's a whole nother issue. And I don't think whoever broke in is just some random person either. Someone knows you guys and know that you were out and decided to step in while you were out. Watch your neighbor. Be careful of the friends you keep, that kind of stuff. Now, to be honest with you, somebody also said, my Jamaican people don't understand the amount of precautions we have to take and the amount of restrictions, and that in itself makes it very uncomfortable. And I agree. I agree. Now, I'm saying where I live in the US, I've fallen asleep many times throughout the whole night, back to the next day, and woke up looking for my keys because I'm ready to go somewhere, and my key is in my front door. Like, whoever could have just take the key, go make a copy and drop the key back off, come back at an opportune time, and I've done it on more than once or twice or 3 occasions at different locations, right? I don't know. Lucky G says, people, if you live in any foreign country, fling stone behind you. If you are living in any foreign country, fling stone behind you. In other words, this person is saying, don't come back. And I'm telling you, don't fling stone behind you, because it could come back to bite you. Don't burn those bridges. Mondigo says, very enticing. Let me apologize, though, menial, for the behavior some of our people. I can only pretend to feel your pain. Sincerely. Ellie Debo says, no way. I've not thrown any stone and cannot and would not. Perhaps persons who have no possession out there can do that. I've traveled worldwide, and as a result of my work, and I've carefully looked around and nowhere like my country of birth, Jamaica. And I spent most of my life living and working overseas. No nasty undesirables can get to me to make me afraid of my country of birth. I've lived a clean life during my time out there, and I continue to do so overseas. No man can come look at me for me being involved in anything illegal. I've never taken part in any illegal activities. Trying to break into my property out there would not have been an easy task for those nasty criminals. They are chickens, trust me. Trust me, my friend. And I do not owe anyone anything. Just protect yourself better. Duppy, no who fi frighten. Top security home I have, my friend. That's the first move anyone who is thinking to return to Jamaica must consider. And again, you see that? That's someone that's telling you sense. You have to secure your property. Cameras, electronic surveillance, them kind of things there. Patricia says, run back to Florida because it's your life next. BG says, I agree. Najeeper KNG says, I love Jamaica, but I love my life and my family more. It is just not worth it. The possibility of being a victim is just too high. It is heartbreaking. And some of us will never return to live. But mango, sugarcane, pear, neeseberry grow in Florida too. The other day my uncle went in his backyard and cut up and peeled a few canes and sent it to me. And it's sweet like a Jamaica it grow. He even sent me a little soursop tree and put it in my house at winter time and take it out when the weather nice. But I am heading to Florida to live out my days. Plant my little garden and take care of my time until God ready for me. In other words, the same things we get in Jamaica, we get it in Florida, and they are not going back. Somebody again says, another very nasty, unacceptably criminal attack on those who have desired and decided to return. I'm sure that several users of this vlog section can remember how many times I've made it clear to Jamaicans overseas that any attempt to return to Jamaica, they may do so at their own risk. Surprisingly, with all the returning residents being robbed and killed in Jamaica, there is not a single word of sympathy from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who have been preaching to Jamaicans to return. They are not interested in the security of the people. Only your foreign currency they are interested in. They have failed to inform persons that the crime has reached an epidemic proportion, and as a result, you should exercise extra caution in returning to Jamaica. I've been returning frequently to Jamaica after living overseas for 39 years. My home is properly secured. Anyone approaches my gate, I see who it is from inside my house. I have 6 killer dogs on the loose around the property, and the caretaker is close senior member of my family who looks after them. They do not know me not being living there. How would they make it? Only God knows. However, criminals view the property and see how they can enter and leave safely. If they see where they can't, then they will not attempt to enter. I'm warning Jamaicans who are interested in returning, please to first get a secured home. If not, then remain overseas where you've worked for your honest bread. I can only express my deepest sympathy to those that are unfortunate, and I am pleased to know that they are still alive. And I will end it just like that. Leave your comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. It's SouFLoTV, man. I'm out. Peace.